I really don't want to do this week's show about moving to Tennessee. I don't want to do this week's show at all. I know it, but you promised. You promised, and you have to give people a heads up about what to expect when they're moving to Tennessee. That's what you've always done, and that's what you're going to continue to do. I know you will. So just do the darn show. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving to Tennessee, 2022. What happens when you have the highest demand of people coming into your area, that historically high? What happens when you have historically low interest rates? What happens when you have historically low interest rates combined with the numbers of people coming into an area who want to live there and make that their new home, and you combine that with the lowest inventory of housing historically? What you got there is kind of a mess. And what you have there is what we have here in Nashville, Tennessee, in Tennessee in general, since early mid-2020 all the way 2021, and currently in 2022 for the foreseeable future. Now, Zillow, as a matter of fact, has just downstated what they expected to happen in the year 2022 in their forecasting. Back in December, they expected across the country to have about 11% appreciation of housing in housing prices. Historically, Zillow makes their prediction in December and they really stick to it. Well, what's happened is already Zillow has changed their predictions. Zillow has increased their predictions by 5%. So they're saying a total of 16% housing appreciation is what they expect throughout the country in 2022. Why is it after only 2 months that Zillow is already making those changes? That's what we're going to talk about here in today's show. As a lifelong realtor, I'm giving you boots on the ground, Nashville perspective of what it's going to take, what you can expect in the housing market in the near future, what it takes, how you can put yourself in the best position to be a buyer for a home. We'll talk about how you can write offers to put you in the best stead to get that offer. Some things that you can do as a buyer to help your realtor in cementing that offer for you. And just we'll talk about the comments of the market. What is this market like and why I feel like it is so strong? Nashville and the Tennessee area in particular is so strong in today's market. We're going to talk about all of that. This really is the toughest market that any of us realtors have seen in years. I mean, homes are selling and everybody says it must be amazing for you as a realtor because everything is selling like that. I got to tell you, we go through the same heartache that our buyers do when they make offers on homes and they lose them. So we're going to talk about the competition for buyers, how difficult it is actually for sellers, why our inventory is so low, why you have to make some very quick decisions. There's actually a saying, if you have to sleep on it, you'll never sleep in it. And that's really so discouraging. But it's the truth. We'll talk about ways of how people are doing it. Waiving contingencies, waiving inspections. I never suggest that. Pass fail, escalation clauses, all the nuances that can make your offer stand out. But first, we even have to understand why is it that you need to do all these mechanical crazy things. What do you need to do and why is it? It just makes those difficulties easier to understand if you understand the community and the market that you're moving into. Also, although you'd think it'd be a fun market for sellers, it truly is not fun. It's fun to wear the hat and be in control, but to think about what the next step is, that's why so many other sellers who might be sellers are not sellers. We'll talk about that too. My name is Susan Thetford. I do weekly shows here on the Nashville Redefined to keep you up to date, to keep you in the know about what's going on in all things real estate here in Nashville. So if that's of value to you, please go ahead, give it a thumbs up. Go ahead and tap that bell so that you get a new video because I do updates weekly. So we started off this video talking about Zillow and that the fact that they have increased their estimate of how far up, how much more housing is going to cost in 2022 versus 2021. Back in December, they said they expected 11% increase in housing value year over year. They've adjusted that. In less than 6 weeks, they've adjusted that, now saying that they expect a 16% increase. Here's the reason for that. Looking at numbers, it's all a matter of looking at the numbers. January of 2021 versus January of 2022, we have only 65% of the number of homes on the market this year as we did last year, and last year was historically low inventory. Now, typically you would expect in January homes to come back on the market. People have gotten through the holidays and now they're readjusting, getting towards springtime, thinking about where they want their kids in school, and things start coming back on the market in a typical year. We have not had typical in 2 years. Who knows what the new normal is going to be? But we're not seeing that inventory of homes come on the market. As I say, in fact, we are at 65% of what we had January of last year, and January of last year was a historically low number. So, back to supply and demand. You're going to get so tired of hearing this. But supply and demand. When there's a lot of demand for housing and there's very few homes on the market, prices go up. So lack of supply is the main problem, and Tennessee is no different. As a matter of fact, Tennessee is far worse than some areas. So added to the lack of inventory is the fact that interest rates, which have been historically low, are now creeping up. So last year you could find interest rates mid-2s to high-2s, low-3s. Now they're creeping up toward 4%. So what you're getting is some people a little bit of FOMO, or fear that they are going to miss out. As interest rates rise, of course, monthly payments rise. And most people don't really look at a house affordability index according to the total sales price, although over time that does rise if you have a mortgage. They look at it at what the monthly payment's going to be. As interest rates rise, of course, those monthly payments go up. So many people, lack of inventory, they may be here with cash in hand because they've sold their home somewhere else and afraid of losing out. They've got a pre-approval at a 3.5% rate, but if the rates keep going up, they're going to have to downsize the house that they get. You've got a fear and a struggle and the stress of, I got to buy a house, and throwing money at houses. That too is increasing the prices. If you've watched any of my other videos, you've heard me talk about the fact that in 2021, every offer that I made for homes or every home that I sold went for over asking price. Every single one. As a matter of fact, nothing sold at the asking price. That began at a legitimately competitive analysis of where the home should sell. But there's so many things that we don't know as listing agents when we're pricing a home. You need to put it at the high side of what's right, but the market, the number of people looking for that very same house, we don't have a way of knowing the thousands of people who are looking for the very same house when they come here who will push that price up. Not one house did I sell at asking price. As a matter of fact, everyone went from anywhere from 6% to 10% above asking price when it finally closed. And actually, that's quite across the board. That was from 500 up to close to about $3 million. So it's across the board. The one house that did sell for full list price, asking price, was one that I worked on for a buyer, and it was actually a Zillow-owned, an eBuyer-owned property. They had come in and really, frankly, overpaid for a lot of properties. Zillow, and all these eBuyer companies really look at things on purely a numbers basis. And you and I both know that we look at a house on the numbers, but we buy on emotion. You buy on how that house, how you feel. And, this house it didn't have all the feels, and it was overpriced from the get-go. So we were able to get it for list price, but that is the only house, actually, last year that sold at list price that I'm frankly even aware of. So this is why Zillow is adjusting their estimate of what the cost of housing is going to be in the United States across the country. Low inventory, still. Higher rising interest rates are going to push people to get into that market before they lose out. And the demand, the high demand for homes. Now here in Nashville, demand is high also because although most areas in Nashville had double-digit increases in 2021, 10% up to about 30% of increases, depending on where and what part of the counties you're in. But also, rental has gone up 28% in cost. Now, if you have to pay 28% more in rents, if you can essentially buy a home and pay a mortgage for the same price as renting, many people are opting to do that, especially when we're at those historically low rates. You put all those things together, you have the perfect storm for rising prices. Let's take a look at some hard numbers for the Nashville SMSA. And as you know from other videos, that is a 9-county area. January of 2021, we had inventory of 5,381 homes in the month of January of 2021. In January 2022, we only had 3,510 homes on the market available for sale. This is homes, farms, multifamily, condominiums, townhomes. This is everything across the board. Last year, everybody was talking about how few homes there were. And now we have 65% of the number of homes currently available for you and me to purchase. We have only 65% of the homes that we had in 2021 to choose from. So at the same time the inventory is low, the interest rates are rising. You've got people moving here from other areas of the country with cash in their pockets ready to buy. We've got rents running about 28% higher than the year before. You have got potentially a buying frenzy. Now, how do you handle a buying frenzy? And still, why is that freaking inventory so low? And why is it that sellers aren't just putting their houses on the market? Some good questions. When a seller sells their home for 25, 30% over what they could have sold it for last year, that unless they already have another home to go to, or they're moving out of state, or going to nursing homes, and that's in many cases the reason people are selling, they've got the same situation. If I sell, where do I go? Honestly, I have had this problem with my clientele for the last 5 years here in the Nashville, Tennessee area. They're ready to downsize. They've raised their children. They want to downsize, but where are they going to go? They don't want to leave their good community. If they sell, they're going to have the higher cost of the home they've got to purchase if they want to stay in the area. They will have a higher interest rate if they're not, if they have a mortgage on it. And, you know, if they love their area, they don't want to leave that area. Many of them are deciding to close up the parts of the home that are too big that they don't need and just stay where they are, stay in their neighborhood. So the sellers, at the same time buyers are scared, sellers are not enthusiastic about selling either in this market. Who are the buyers? Who is it who's competing? You've got the move-up buyers who have a small home, who want to have a larger home in the area. Maybe they've got more children for whatever reason. You've got the move-down buyers who are ready to downsize. You've got investors. And in great areas like Nashville, we've got hedge fund buyers who are wanting to buy and keep real estate in their portfolio as a strong piece of value. All of these types of buyers are competing against each other, which is dragging or skyrocketing the prices. I regularly get offers on my home, and several of my sellers do too, regularly get offers on their home without any thoughts of, okay, that's great. What would you sell it for? Uh-oh. They name a price and the person says, sure, I'll give it to you. But then that's where do they go? I get these calls all the time. Susan, I got this offer. I told them a stupid number. And they said, sure, take it. Name your price, name your time. Where the heck am I going? So I scrounge and try to find them something that they may be interested in, and we come up short every time. They stay. This has happened repeatedly. That's another reason. As you watch these videos, I don't think you're going to see but maybe 1 or 2 for sale signs, and typically they have a sold sign on top of it. So can you see why I really didn't want to do this video? It is depressing. It truly is depressing. And I don't want to do that to you, but I did promise always to tell you the truth. So when do I see it changing? Should you just sit it out? There are no crystal balls back there. I actually have one. I've moved it. It hadn't told me a thing. I don't see a change. Let me show you some of the reasons that I don't see a change. When is it going to slow down here in the Nashville area? Nashville is named one of the top 15 cities to start a new business. We are a great entrepreneurial hub. Oracle, back a couple years ago, announced their new East Nashville Bank and will be bringing in 85 highly competitive, well-paid jobs. 8,500. Amazon fulfillment centers are bringing in 5,000 new hires to the area. There are 2 actually in the Wilson County, Mount Juliet area, and I have heard that a new one is coming in to one of the southern counties. Ultium Cells, which is an electric car battery plant in Spring Hill, is opening their second facility, which is to bring in 1,000 well-paying jobs. Add to that so many of the other companies that you see right here. Each one is bringing in hundreds of new jobs. According to these new businesses that come in bringing new jobs, you also have ancillary businesses. We are booming. Is that great for the economy? Time will tell. But does it seem as if it's going to slow down anytime in the next 5 years? I don't understand a reason I would expect so. Is the interest rates going to go down anytime in the next couple of years? I sure don't see any reason to expect so. So if Tennessee is your area, we've got to get serious about the next step. So what can you, as a buyer, what can you, as someone who wants to move to Tennessee, do? Get laser focused. First of all, we have to get laser focused and really decide where is it that you need to be. All the decisions that go into that. An hour outside of the city, inside the city, you want sewer, you want septic, you want 30 minutes, you want the best schools. Do you want, what is it that you want? I need you to really delve into not a wish list, but a must-have list. And then that must-have list needs to be numbered. Has to happen. Second, you need to find yourself a realtor, someone that you truly trust, who knows the neighborhood, who knows the area, who knows and is listening to what you have to say. Because frankly, we basically work 24/7. If you text someone and you don't get a text back quickly, within reason, I mean, don't be ridiculous. But if you don't get a response, give them a second try, because maybe they overlooked it. But you need responses. The responsiveness is huge in a realtor. You need someone who's going to listen and ask you lots of questions and ask you the hard questions. The next step is you have to get pre-approved. Frankly, no realtor is going to take you seriously if you don't make the effort to go ahead and get pre-approved with a native lender from wherever place you're looking to purchase. You need a local lender. And talk to your realtor about why that is. But no realtor who's worth their salt is going to stick a lot of time, if any, into someone who won't pick up the phone and make an application to get that pre-approval. There is no there is no seller who's ever going to look at an offer that doesn't have a pre-approval letter with it, that's from a local lender, that's very, very strong, and with probably bank proof of funds. You just don't need to. Back to your list of things that you have to have in a home. Then you need to prioritize that list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when it's time to look and it's time to make a decision, if you're the type of person who has to sleep on it, you have to realize you're also not going to sleep in it, probably. I last week showed a home. It was a coming soon. It was, I'm trying to remember, it was a coming soon on Monday. Could not see it until Friday. I had an appointment to show it FaceTime with my buyer at 9 a.m. We saw it by FaceTime. They were going to show it beginning Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All offers due Sunday night, and midday noon was going to be a response. So I FaceTime showed that home to my purchaser, my customer, at 9 a.m. She got on a plane. She flew out here to come see the home after our FaceTime look. And saw the home. We saw it in the daytime. We saw it at nighttime. We made an offer. We made an offer multiple hundreds above asking price, and it was a cash offer, and we did not get it. Now, I don't know what it's going to close for, but this was a lady who was able to make decisions and make them fast. You've got to have a strategy. So you need to be able to talk to your realtor about the strategy that you're going to use. Is it going to be FaceTime video? Are you at the place where you can do it a drop of a hat? If you have to wait till the weekend to come see something and you've got to see it and bring 4 friends, just know you're going to lose a lot of houses. You just got to be able to be a decision maker. Know about escalation clauses. Talk about that kind of thing. Talk about pre-approval letters. Talk about bank letters. Do you have your banker on speed dial so that he can get you the information that you need? Having those ducks in a row is so important. Back to the strategy of being able to be the winner, to having the best foot forward on having your offer accepted, is back to that realtor, back to your relationship with your realtor. Sign a realtor rep. Here's what realtors do. We not only search out for homes that are on the MLS, we also are working through our network. That's why you want a realtor who's been in the business for a long time or knows the location that they're in and working with for a long time. We pick up the phone and we'll call someone who, if the Brentwood area and the older home, McGavock Farms, they've lived there for a long time, you know the realtor who's lived there, you pick up the phone and say, okay, who do you know who's thinking about or would consider selling? If we could give them a 3-month lease back after they've closed to find the time, do you know of anybody who can do that? These conversations, finding things that are not on the market, and it's a combination of everything we can possibly do to find that home for you. So with that in mind, knowing we're going to do that, and knowing that in all probability we will probably write 2 to 5 offers for you as your agent, working in agency with you, knowing that we only work with those who will sign a buyer's rep with us. Buyer's rep means we represent you, and we're going to do everything we can do to find the house for you. We don't get paid if we don't, but in this market, waiting for something to come on the market and hoping that we're the buyer on it is not all we can do, and it's not all we should be doing. So any agent worth their salt wants a buyer's rep to know that no matter what, you're going to work with them, or you each can fire each other. And that's a whole other conversation too. If it's not working out, you can fire each other, and your agent can fire you too. It's a two-way street. Remember I said Tennessee is a right-to-work state, so you can be fired. Doesn't happen often, but sometimes it does. Sometimes it's just not a good fit. But please, we got to come up with a strategy that works and work in tandem, arm in arm, because we're going to go through the highs and the lows together. So find yourself that good agent. One more thing you can do as a buyer that some people are confused with now. It used to be that we as your realtor could submit for you what's called a love letter, where you might write a note to the seller and say the seller has had a family that they've raised and they've loved the neighborhood, and you think you've got children, and for whatever reason, you think that they may really want to sell a home to someone with children who's going to raise their family. It's an emotional thing. Back to Zillow. Zillow thinks that all home purchases is just nuts and bolts and bathrooms and that numbers of things. And it is not. It's an emotional thing. We used to be able to write the subletters and some love letters and submit them maybe with a picture of your family and pull the heartstrings of and hopefully have your offer be looked at over another one. Now, because of fair housing laws, we as realtors cannot submit those letters for you. It cannot go with your offer. So you can do this. As we're driving through neighborhoods, or you're driving through neighborhoods, and you may point out a house, I think I'd be really interested in that. Talk to your realtor. They can pull the tax records. Has this person owned it for a year and they paid $2 million and your budget's 1.4? Forget it. If they've been in it for a long time, or whatever reason, find a home that you're really, really interested in. You can, with some research, we can find you who the owner is. We can get you the information. Write the letter directly to that homeowner. Now, here's what you do. You still get to work with a realtor. You still get to say, hey, I'm working with Susan with Parks. I love your home. I'm very interested for whatever reason. If it's at all possible, we can work with you. We can make a strategy. Is it all possible you consider selling? If so, we begin the process. But I think everything that we can all do to pull out the stops to find you that best home in this market is exactly what we have to do. And I just know there's been a lot of people who think they're going to wait out our market. They're going to wait till it gets better. And 2 years later, they still not buy it. So don't let that be you. If Tennessee's your place, then go ahead. Subscribe to this channel so you get all kinds of more information. And also feel free to reach out to me if I can help you solidify some more ideas of your move to Tennessee. Till next week.